Alright, YouTube, what we have here is the 86 Dodge. This one I was explaining about the bed rail when I was doing the dent. There's also videos of me doing a burnout and everything catching fire and me pulling the tree down and all kinds of dumb shit with this truck. Well, with this poor critter going through abuse, here's the issue. Timing chain. Was going to do a video on the teardown, what you needed, what it consists of. Didn't think about it till me and my assistant Brian was over 3/4 the way through it. Heck of a time to think about it, I know. But we're this far down. Got the new hoses for it. Water pump gasket, fuel pump, front seal, the bypass hose. Front seal is installed. And the timing chain cover. Brand new water pump. Well, you can technically see it's brand new. Paint it all up with some Mopar paint. Island teal. Code SPJ. This way, for anybody that plays Mopar that might like this color, that's the information. This is the cast aluminum cover between this seal, the water pump, and the parts you've seen over on the bench. So far, right there's about $130 wrapped up in it. Not counting the rest of the parts, like the timing set and other gaskets that's needed. Now, to save a little bit on this budget for the build I'm doing on this, I took time, I cleaned up the old timing chain cover, checked it out, because these things are notorious from right here all the way across down and all the way across here, cracking. Next thing you know, you got coolant coming out. What is your water pump sets here, and it'll be right along this spot is where that crack develops, which will allow the water to come and lay right in this area. It ain't always that little bypass hose. I've had it happen on a few different trucks, well, a few different Dodge motors. I personally had one that I owned do it. Some of the other ones were on vehicles that different people I know have or had. Now, this is the cast aluminum, which is factory on the cars and trucks, 318, 340, I do believe, and 360. 360 and 318 I know the same. 340 I'm 99.9% sure it's the same as well. Already put my front seal in. Yes, I just mentioned these are prone to cracking. Why am I using it and not this here all cast iron? Here's why. Look from this bolt hole over, what don't you see? No indicator of a timing tab. Where the factory has the timing tab. 10 degrees all the way top dead center, from top dead center all the way 10 degrees. Made right to it. That's all factory. This one, which is your cast iron one, you can find on the boat motors. So if you want to switch your cast iron, look at your boat motors and some of the industrial shit that they would use a Chrysler motor on. Now, with it not having it, that's why I chose not to use it. This is good. In a pinch, I could pull the front cover off and throw this one on and run with it. So, I'll just keep put up as a spare. Never know, might need it one day. Hope not, but because I don't remember where I put that little tab. And all it is a piece to go from here to here and angles down. Well, actually, that's for the timing light itself, but there's a little tab that tell you all that information. The fuel pump I took off here and the water pump, yes, they were good. While I was this far down and everything was easy to get to, I said to heck with it, decided to change it. Now, when putting this front seal in, I don't like using this stuff, but to help prevent any oil leaks, because I cannot stand an oil leak. Well, I had to put a little bit of bead, take a tiny bit of Permatex, put all the way around it, work it down in evenly without knocking it through the cover. I have done that before. That's back when I was first learning how to do that shit. But over years of learning, you learn how to work these things down evenly, equal pressure, not push it through. New seal, new water pump, new fuel pump. Now, granted, all the hardware for this, I'm putting brand new. I could take and use the original, but you figure, when you take and you pull your original bolts out, and they're looking like this, yeah, I could clean this up with a wire brush, or even like this one, or like some of these. I could take and clean all this up and reuse it, but for all the hardware to hold that water pump to that timing chain cover, which holds it to that block, if I remember correctly, it's ProComp that has the kit. It's all the hardware and one or two other little pieces through AutoZone for like $43 to $45. So for that little bit, why deal with old crusty hardware? I mean, who wants to see that kind of garbage? If you're going to do this kind of work, do it right. Just put all new hardware, because God only knows how strong these bolts are still. You could use them, they could last 20 years, they could last a lifetime. But when you take and put these in and you tighten them down to the torque specification, it will actually stretch this bolt. A lot of people don't know that. When you torque bolts to the specification, it will actually stretch them. That's why when you change like your head gaskets, when you change out your head bolts, when you torque them down, it actually stretches that bolt. It might only be 1/1000th of an inch, but that's 1/1000th of an inch longer, which is stretching that material. When you start stretching metal, and it's under a lot of torque and load, it can be prone to breaking on the disassembly later down the road. If you're going to do the shit, do it right. Don't half-ass it. I mean, granted, I could get by with having the front of the motor part, change timing set, throw it all back together. Nah, I'm doing it right. All new gaskets, all new bolts, all new hardware. Now, granted, the old water pump, which is here, which if I remember according to the previous owner of the truck, this water pump really wasn't even that old. But I went ahead, put it off to the side. I got a different one that I don't know nothing about, but it's for this size motor. Getting used for a core. That's going to be for another project. Fuel pump, I'll show you guys later on how to test that and see if it's good or not. And you can do it with just your two hands and a piece of hose pointed the opposite direction. Alright, more to come on this. When more parts arrive, yeah, you notice more parts. While it's this far down, we're going to put a few parts on performance-wise, wake this old motor up. Doing some research with the cam, intake I plan on using, and doing the long tube headers that have an 1 5/8" primary. This motor should produce at least about 314 to 320 horsepower, and that's with the timing set just right. Playing with the timing, you dyno this motor, one timer dyno 290, 3, it'll jump around depending on where you put that timing. You wouldn't think it? Look it up, and you'll see online, like Engine Master Series or Horsepower TV is a good one. They did one of these 360s. The guy played with timing and the horsepower started climbing, so did the torque. So, get that timing set right. And with the parts I'm going to put in this, it should really wake this old truck up. give a little bit of attitude. These old cast iron manifolds there come off. They're about probably 25 pounds a piece. Estimate. They might not be that much. They may be a little more, a little less. But they weigh way more than a set of headers that's only 37 pounds. Put the headers on. It's going to help make this motor breathe. Already got a brand new distributor in it. More shit to come. Stay tuned.